What if you and I began to think about our skin as spacesuits? What if you and I, all of us in this room, what if we began to think about our skin as spacesuits? I don't know many of you personally, but some of you I do. But I know for sure that we have many things in common. I know for sure that there's way more that unites us than divides us. Do me a favor, raise your hand if you have a birthday. Right? We all have a birthday. We all have a day that we were born into our spacesuit and we came to this planet. What I also know that we have in common is that we're all living in that space in between now. We're all living in that dash between the time where we were born into our spacesuits and the time that we will leave our spacesuits. And man, what if while we're living in that dash, what if while we're living in that space in between that we can become the best and highest and most healed version of ourselves? What if you and I, what if we could create the most inclusive and the best and the highest American story to date? You see, we all come here in a spacesuit, and for some reason, we have created a society that cares more about the color of your spacesuit than what's inside of it. Man, I love my beautiful brown spacesuit, but there's so much more inside of me. There's so much that I have been called to give to this earth, to this planet, to the evolution of the American story. And there's so much inside of your spacesuit that is bigger than you could ever imagine, that you're called to contribute to the tapestry of American history, to the tapestry of human history. Let me tell you what's inside of your spacesuit. What comprises the signature of your soul is your thoughts. It's your dreams. It's the forgiving that you have to do. It's your fears. It's the healing that you have to do. It is the story that is called to emerge through you as a vessel. If you ask me, I think being human is one of the coolest things ever. Seriously. Like, think about it. You mean I get to come to planet Earth with all of these amazing resources, and I get to live out a story. I get to paint. I get to become. We get to be alive. Are there any moms in the building today? Raise your hand if you're a mom. I happen to be a mom too. I have two beautiful children I can't think too much about because I'll get emotional. I have a beautiful 4-year-old daughter. Her name is August. And I have a wonderful, handsome son named Avery, who's 3. They're 14 months apart. And the moms in this room can attest to the point that their children came into this world. There's this very sacred moment, and they write that time of when the child came into their spacesuit, when they were born onto this earth. There's this time, and they're there, and they come out of you, and you're looking at them, and they're brand new spacesuits, but you're not thinking about their spacesuit or what color it is. You're thinking about, man, I've been entrusted to guide this soul. I've been entrusted to parent this soul. And you're probably thinking, y'all gonna let me leave here with this baby? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. Every first time parent, you have a moment where you're like, y'all gonna let me leave with the baby? So you're not thinking about those things. And what you hope for new life is that they just have the best chance that they possibly can. So why should your spacesuit ever restrict your story? Why should you ever participate in anything that restricts the story of any other human, even if it's institutionalized? Why should how you love and how you worship and who your ancestors are, why should those restrict your ability to become, to heal, and to grow? Why should that restrict your mission here on Earth? A few months ago, my grandfather turned 95 years old. In February of 2023, to be exact. And my entire family descended upon Albany, Georgia. It's a very southern town in Georgia. My family's actually from Camilla, which is even more small and even more southern. I have a huge family, and we all gathered in Albany to celebrate my grandfather's 95 years on this earth. And there was a very particular moment that has stuck with me since February of 2023. It wasn't just a party. We essentially had a program to celebrate him. So all the grandchildren and great-grandchildren, everybody had a job and an assignment, and you had to come up on stage in a room actually the size of a very large family. And you were just talking about who Granddaddy's been to you, right? And as I got ready to go, because we went in age order, which is very important in a large family, so we finally got to my age group. And I approached the stage, and I saw my grandfather doing a very interesting motion. He was like clapping, but like dancing. He does this little thing, and like singing all at the same time. And I'm not sure quite how to describe it. It's just so vivid in my memory. And all I could think of is that maybe I don't understand that motion because I'm not quite 95 yet. But as I watched him express himself in that way, and I approached the stage, I said, my God, because I looked at the room from his vantage point. And I said, well, what does it feel like to be 95 years old and to look out into a room at your legacy? To look out at a room and not only see your children, but your children's children. And what does it feel like to know that, and he and my grandmother were married for over 50 years before she passed away. And from their union, they had 9 children. And my phenomenal father, who's married to my phenomenal mother, my father is one of those 9. And I asked myself, man, what does it look like to know that because of your sacrifice, that your legacy that is standing in front of you, they could live just a little more freely. Their stories could just be a little better than yours could. Because at the time, your story was restricted due to the color of your spacesuit. You see, what we're all really looking for is a feeling. And that feeling is freedom. That feeling is love. That feeling is fulfillment. So let me tell you what freedom looks like to me. It looks like no matter who you are, where you're from, what your abilities are, what you look like, no matter all the things that we're taught that divide us, that none of that matters, that you can just contribute to the work that your heart calls you to. That's what freedom looks like to me. And that's the world that I envision. And I'm so grateful to be able to work in the conservation space. I tell people all the time that we are living in one of the most momentous times in history. I know you all can feel it. We're not just studying history, people. We're living it. We're writing it each and every day with our thoughts, with our actions, with rooms like this. We are writing history. And if you ask me, inclusion and conservation are the two most important issues of our time. Because what you and I know is that conservation requires as many hearts and minds as possible. We cannot do this alone. We can't exist in an echo chamber just us. We need everyone to be involved. And to do that, that requires us to gain inclusive intelligence. That requires us to learn how to be welcoming. That requires us to partner and to work together. I want to take this time to thank Director Polly at MDC for continuing to lead the way and show what it looks like to continue to not only show what partnership is, but what does it look like to build a world that just practices collaborative conservation? What does it look like to continue to expand the table so that everyone's perspective is considered? You see, our job, everyone in this room, your job is to remain mission-minded. See, how can we be good stewards of our natural resources if we're not good stewards of ourselves? If we're not good stewards of our stories? If we're not good stewards of that which we've been called to work on? In the summer of 2020, I won't underscore it too much because I know we were all doing the same thing. We were all quarantined. And as I sat in my home with my husband, my daughter was very small, and I was pregnant with our son. And a catalytic historical event occurred during COVID, and that event was George Floyd. And I will never forget the visceral feelings that we felt watching someone leave their spacesuit due to someone else's knee. And I say that to say that there's certain things in history when they resonate with you, when they sit with you, that you can't just sit there and decide that the world can go on like that. Because my husband and I was pregnant with my son at the time, and it sat very squarely with us that we had to raise a Black man in this world. We were young, we were in our 20s, and it's just like, how are we going to raise our children in this world? How can they be safe? And we looked at ourselves and we said, well, we need to do something about this. I don't know what it is, but we need to contribute to a solution. And at that time, my husband had started a podcast that now has over 300,000 subscribers, and he's been on all the covers of the outdoor magazines, and he built this platform of being an outdoor influencer, a face, a voice that people listen to. And the outdoors has become a sanctuary for our family. And we said, well, why don't we start a nonprofit that's dedicated to unifying people for joy and conservation? Because when you're outdoors and you're enjoying nature, you're not thinking about that which divides you. And I don't think anybody wants to continue to live through seeing the things that we saw in 2020. Heck, who wants to live through what we're seeing today across the world right now? And so what does it look like if we bring people together through nature? Because nature inherently unites. And it's something about tapping into a mission that really matters, because it took off like a rocket. I stand here before you today, and we have been in every part of this nation due to this mission. And we're so grateful for the success that we found. And I've been to 43 states at this point. And in every state, I'm reminded of how beautiful America is. I mean, it's stunning. And not just physically, our natural resources are just, oh my God. I can't believe that I, at a point, was living my life not seeing these things. But not only is it physically stunning, but America as a concept is beautiful. As a concept, we were founded on the idea of freedom, on the idea that the government should work for the people. We, the people, create this society. We, the people, create the reality. We, the people, write the history. My favorite line in the Constitution, is the preamble to the Constitution, is that we're called to make this union a little more perfect. We are called to be union perfecters. That's what we're doing each and every day as we living out our stories. How can we perfect this union? How can we push society forward? How can we contribute to progression? America the Beautiful. I'm often asked, what does DEI have to do with any of this? It is imperative that we not only learn how to be inclusively intelligent and thoughtful about each other, but inclusive intelligence also applies to natural resources. We've created a society that does not think about how our human activity affects our natural world. We haven't been inclusively intelligent as a whole. So in this age of inclusion, I want us to remember that not only is our country beautiful, not only is this concept that we're living in beautiful, but it's an idea, it's a concept worth living for, it's a concept worth healing for, and America the Beautiful is a concept worth uniting for. So I invite you to partner with the Minority Outdoor Alliance in whatever it is that you do, wherever you are, and not just as any other groups that you wouldn't normally partner with, to include our perspectives and our thoughts, for us to come together and unify and bring forth a story that hasn't been told yet. Man, people often tell me, man, actually this DEI thing is kind of hard. It's kind of challenging. And I'm like, I see that. I understand that perspective. But are we growing if we're not challenged? Are we growing if we're not challenged? Are we arguing against the process of growth if we're not willing to step outside that which we already know? So, if you're looking to partner, if you're looking to do something different, I want you to feel emboldened and encouraged and excited to write a new story. Don't feel afraid or indicted by the movement of this time. Feel excited to ask yourself, well, what's on the inside of my spacesuit? What is it that I'm supposed to heal for the generations that came before me? Because if I look at my lineage and I'm so called to be alive right now, there's something that I can do for my lineage that the people before me couldn't do. That's all that means. And there's something that we can collectively do as a society and as a nation that those before us could not do. We can live a more expansive story. I want to thank you for your time today. I want to encourage you to enjoy your beautiful spacesuits and to write the best story that you possibly can. Thanks.